According to Quora, as of December 6th, 2010, there were about 27 million people playing fantasy sports. While roughly 20 million of those people were playing fantasy football, including myself, I want to take this time to discuss fantasy baseball. Although the number of people playing fantasy baseball is considerably less, about 3.5 million, the game is much more challenging than fantasy football. While there are many different ways to play fantasy baseball, all of them involve the statistics from the players in Major League Baseball. If you wanted to play in a fantasy league, you need to ask yourself a few questions to determine the league that is best for you. The first question to ask would be, do I want to play for free or pay to play? Both of these options can be very fun. However, if you pay to play, winning pays you back. For example, one of the leagues that I play in pays the winner about $450. After you have decided upon the pay or no pay status, you will then need to decide if you prefer to play in a mixed league, which means players from both the American League and National League are allowed to be on your roster, or if you prefer to play in an American League only or National League only. This decision is usually based on your knowledge of each league's players. If you only follow one league, then you probably should stick to playing fantasy in that league. I personally find all three league types to be enjoyable, so I play all three. Another choice that needs to be made is whether or not you want to play in a league that allows you to keep a number of players from year to year. Usually not more than 3 years, and somewhere between 7 to 15 players are kept. Or would you prefer to redraft your entire team each season? I only play in keeper leagues myself, as this allows you to build a good team from a bad team, which allows you to enjoy even the worst seasons. Finally, you need to decide the type of draft that you are most interested in. I play in leagues that offer two different methods. The first being online, with a serpentine format. This means that the first person to draft in the first round becomes the last person to pick in the next round, and so on. This is believed to give everyone involved a more equal opportunity to draft a good team, no matter what position you get slotted in to start with. The other type of drafting that I am familiar with is called live auction. I find this type to be the most fun, as you are bidding against the rest of your league in a face-to-face event. Each person starts the draft with an allotment of fantasy money to bid with and a certain number of players that must be rostered. The idea here is to spend all of your money to build the strongest roster possible. Once you have made all of these decisions and joined the appropriate league or leagues, you need to prepare for your draft. Everyone who plays fantasy baseball has their own opinions as to the way to evaluate players before the draft. The way that I usually do this is to do a lot of reading. And put together a plan based upon what the experts have to say about each player. This will help to determine which players you hope to get on draft day, and which ones you hope that you don't. Once you have drafted your team, it's time to go to work. Each day of the Major League Baseball season, you will need to monitor all of your players. If a player becomes injured or just doesn't perform to the level that you were expecting, you will want to make a roster move to replace that player. Not every player who underperforms should be dropped. You can always try to trade with one of your opponents. Trading is a very useful tool in keeper leagues, as you get to try to improve now or later. Last year I was going to finish out of the top 4, which means no money. So I started trading every player that I could not keep to get players that I could, so that I could build this year's team around them and have as little money spent as possible on draft day. So far this strategy seems to be working, as I took 14 players into the draft, needing to draft only 9. I had $194 of $260 allowed available, which allowed me to spend more than everyone else and buy every player that I wanted at the auction. As the season progresses, you will want to determine if you are a buyer, like I should be this year, or a seller, like I definitely was last year. This will help to determine which players you wish to keep if you're in a keeper league, and also which players you want to trade and who you might try to trade for. With any luck, you finish the season on top. Congratulations. If not, better luck next year.